Hello everyone. Today's session, I'm going to explain you how to deploy your this application, whatever application I created in previous session outside Eclipse. What we are doing till date, we just right click run as main application, right? As Java application we are doing. So that is the way you do it from Eclipse. But when you are deploying it in production, you don't do that way. Your Eclipse will not be there. You have to run this as standalone application, or you have to run it as WAR file, right? Or you have to deploy it in a Tomcat. So when we are learning it is a standalone application, Tomcat will be embedded inside it. You will use embedded Tomcat, and the way we are doing it in Java, we will do that way. But the difference is we'll create a executable jar here and run it. When we are deploying it in Tomcat, it will be WAR file and that will get deployed. But to do that, certain configuration change is required in current application. I will show it to you, and I'll show you inserting record to database using jar file and inserting record to database using WAR file. Both the approaches I will show you. Yesterday, while trying to do ID auto generation for Hibernate, I had some issue, right? And I said in coming session I will explain that. I made it configurable, the auto generation of ID using the millisecond algorithm, and I will show it to you today before closing this session. Let's go and watch. Let's go and you will see how you can configure your application to deployable as a standalone or into a external Tomcat. Let me share my screen. Anyway, you those who are watching my video on YouTube, you are the students here or learners here. You are the learners, those who are watching on YouTube. I'm preparing this video only for people, those who want to watch this on YouTube. No, I'm not taking any training session now. These are not recorded training session. This is simply because of my interest. I'm idle looking for job. So I thought, okay, whatever I learned, whatever I implemented, technically in technology, in the managerial aspect, let me share. So I'm sharing a full stack Java developer, just full stack Java development application here. If you watch my videos one after the other in sequence, you will definitely become a full stack Java developer without any, you know, without any headache, without any problem, without going to any external training center. You know, the thing here is it's your ways what you want to learn. It's your ways where you want to go. If you want to become a full stack Java developer, go through my video. You will learn it. And also, I'm uploading. I uploaded a servant leadership video. You can watch that. I have also uploaded a AWS cloud video. How to create a step in AWS cloud. You can also watch that using Java as a programming language. I'll keep uploading videos, until unless I find a job, something I will keep uploading. But my main focus is to complete this full stack Java development. So before that, I will just show you how you can do it or deploy this particular thing in out of Eclipse, right? So let's go and do this. First, I will go for jar, right? So going for a jar, I will create a executable jar here. So going for that, first you see I commented few part of the code. Don't worry about that. I will explain that while while I am making it a WAR file. So don't worry about that. Now this looks like a same old main method, main class for Spring Boot application what you have seen in previous session. The same Java file, right? The same Java file. Nothing is there. The only thing I added here is excluded these classes. Data source or all auto configuration for data source and Hibernate. Why I excluded this auto configuration because I want to initialize when I will initialize this Spring context XML. Before that, I don't want to initialize these all data source configuration. So if you want to do or initialize data source configuration, during the Spring Boot application initialization, you can do. You have to remove this exclude option from there, and you have to keep all Spring Boot application. Along with that, you need to add one application properties file. one application properties file into your application.properties file into your um, source, into your source, or into your folder path. Because what the Spring Boot application will do, it will read all initialization parameter from application properties, and it will initialize your data source configuration, your Hibernate configuration, your transaction configuration. It will initialize from that properties file. For me, it is not required because I am not doing it here. I am doing it in context XML. Right? Those who are following 100% annotation, they need to do it, because 100% annotation will do initialization in the beginning, and later also they can do it. They need to have that configuration some in properties file, and they need to read from there, because when you're going with 100% annotation, you will not have application context XML, right? You need to have a properties file where you will have this thing. So anyway, let's see. So this is how it looks, and you understood why I have given exclude. If I remove this exclude while deploying it in embedded Tomcat as a standalone application, it will throw exception, which will try to initialize automatically the data source configuration, the Hibernate configuration, and data source transition configuration. That's why we excluded it. Let's go to the form.xml. This is the very important place where you need to be very careful. See, while packaging, you need to package it as a jar, right? And then there are a few plugins which you need to add, to bring dependencies, all the dependencies into a library, all the dependencies or libraries separately into one folder, and your jar file, which is getting created in this particular project, that should be a executable jar, or be an executable jar. That should be an executable jar. So how you're going to do that? So you have to add plugin, right? So first, see, this is one plugin. This plugin will copy dependencies to library folder. Enable it if you are building a jar file, right? So I'm going to build a jar file, so I will enable this plugin. What is this plugin? This plugin is Maven dependency plugin. Right? This plugin name is Maven dependency plugin, and this plugin you need to enable it, right? And in this what I'm writing, in this I'm saying, in the configuration of this particular plugin, the project build directory is live. This is what was the project build. This is a relative path $project.build.directory. This is a relative path / live, right? And then I'm saying in execution, copy dependencies. Copy all the dependencies, fetch package, into the leaf folder as a package. Copy or goal is copy all the dependencies. ID you can give anything, but goal is copy dependencies. It will copy all the dependencies to this live folder that is inside the target. And next one is basically, I'm going to tell you. Next plugin is basically it will add the manifesto file to the jar file. Whatever the jar we are trying to build, it will add the manifesto file to that particular jar, making it executable jar. Not only manifesto, not only the main class to the manifesto file, but also the class path library to the manifest file, so that while running, it will be easy to run, right? So this is how your another plugin you need to add it to your application. So you are watching it, right? You are seeing. See, this is the plugin, how it works. Maven jar plugin, and the other plugin is Maven dependency plugin. Maven, and what I am doing here, my Maven compiler plugin is 20, target and source is 20. Means I am using Java 20 version, right? If you go to the down below this, there is another plugin which will create a fat jar, which will create a fat jar. And that fat jar, what is that? Fat jar is a single jar which will hold everything, all the dependencies, including, which will hold everything, and that everything, uh, which will hold everything, all these dependencies and the our classes file in a single jar. That is what called a fat jar. So it will create a single jar or a fat jar, right? Anyway, this is not required, but I'm just going to show you that you can also create a single jar and run it. Creating a single jar and running is not the good idea to do it. Always, the good practice or standard is you will have a executable jar, and parallel to that, you will have a library folder, which will hold all the dependencies. That's how the standard people follow. Fatjar is not a standard for your development purpose, for your own purpose. You can do it, but in organization at organization level, Fatjar is not the standard. So let's go and yeah. So the configuration is done here. See all the Maven configuration, whatever is to do, we did, and now the next part is main class is right proper, and then application context XML no changes. Application context XML as it is. I'm not doing any change today. And then what is there? Let me close this. Some classes which is not required. So see log4j XML, right? Log4j XML. Yeah, dot log file. So log file. See, I'm removing this dot slash because it is we're deploying it in this place. So let's see, and I'll comment out this JDBC appender. I'll comment out this JDBC appender. So if it initializes, then it will throw again exception. Right? While initializing this you know this file only while initializing the log4j XML, if it start initializing this data source JDBC, the database appender, it will throw exception if I don't have table in database. If I don't have table in database, it will throw exception. If there is no proper column, it will throw exception. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to comment out this particular JDBC appender. We'll only keep file appender, rolling file appender, and console appender, right? So uh, rolling file and console and rolling file appender, I have enabled it in loggers root, right? So that means we should get the rolling file and we should get the logs in the console. So I'll increase the size here. It is 1 KB. Size based trigger policy 1 KB I have given. So I'll make it something around you know 1000 KB. That is 1 MB. More than that we can give, but let it be like that. Okay, fine. See, I have files in two places. See, all these log4j XML, application context XML, you should always keep it in resource folder, right? That is main source, main resource folder. Resource folder is the folder where you will have all XML, YML, WSDL, WADL, properties file, log4j XML, all these external files, right? All these files should go into the your resource folder. That is the best practice when you are writing Java program. In Java best practices, that is one of the best practices. You should keep all into the resource folder. Now this is done. So let's go and do the build. We should get a jar file. Then I'll show how to run it, how to execute it. Right? So yeah, start the build. Let's go to the target folder. See, before starting the session, I've opened all this so that there will be no, delay. Watch my, if you are watching this video, then before watching this video, watch a few previous session videos. You will understand, how you can go with know how it's created, how you can go with all the informations, right? How you can create a Spring REST API with Spring, Hibernate, MySQL DB, all these Java, all these technology or frameworks are integrated to create this particular application. Yeah, so we got the jar and it is trying to build that fat jar. With all the dependencies on single jar, it will take some time. It will explore all these dot classes file from other jars, then in a temporary folder, and from there it will wrap all of them into the single file and create. Sometimes what happens now while creating fat jar, if you have a same package and same class name, multiple time, it get confused. So it's better always to go, the standard is like this. You have a single jar, executable jar, and then a leaf folder. This is the standard which you need to follow. Now let's go to the command prompt to that particular folder. So simple, right? Java hyphen jar, and then your jar. This is the jar. I'm not running the fat jar. If you want, you can run it. I'm just going with the leaf and jar. I'll show you the manifesto file, also how it looks like. Let's see, it's Spring Boot is starting. Yeah. So Tomcat started, right? Tomcat started. Before running that, I will show you the manifesto file, how it looks, because we added some plugin for the manifesto file, right? Adding the main class and then adding your adding the main class and then adding. Oh, why I'm opening this? I'm sorry, I opened wrong file. Let me go to the meta your manifesto file always will be in the meta-inf. So if you come here, see you will find manifesto version. You will find the Maven jar plugin version. You will find build JDK specification, and then you will find the main class here. And these are libraries, the dependencies. That's how I have added here, right? See, Maven plugin, Maven jar plugin 3.4.2 and large class path true. Class path prefix lib slash and main class is this. If you if you see this, the same thing is here, lib slash then the dependencies, right? And Maven plugin 3.4.2 and main class is this is I added. If I remove that plugin, it won't come here. All these things will not come here. So this is because of this manifesto file, I'm able to run this, this because of this manifesto file, this jar is executable and I can run directly it using Java command. Now I will, now I will, what I will do, I will show you with the request. Here, the same, I will run the same thing. The localhost IT port and ID will be everything. So every port and your server name will be the same. See HTTP localhost 8080 port is same, like what we used yesterday. Because embedded Tomcat, I have not changed the port configuration. If you change the port configuration, then port will change. Otherwise, it will be same. User app equal to question mark ID equal to the ID I've given, which is available in the database. Let me hit it. Yeah, so I'm able to get the record, right? I will show you inserting one record also. I'll show you inserting one record also, right? See, log4j file should come here. I'm not sure why it's not coming. I will explain it later. Why it's not coming, why there some other configuration in it to be done. It should directly come here. It's not coming. We will discuss about that later. You can always put the absolute path. I have put a relative path. You can always put the absolute path and you can try to see why it's not coming, right? So this is a record which I paste from the database using the REST API, user API, and my person ID, my first name, last name, and your it is age and gender, right? This is what I paste from the backend. Now I'm going to insert one record. If you see this database table, yesterday I cleaned the table. I added all the valid data, valid record. This my uncle, auntie, my father's name, my mother's name, my wife's name. Right? Vishwanath Sahu, uncle name Santilata Sahu. My auntie's name is no more. So I call both Vishwanath Sahu and Santila Sahu as father and mom. My father is Navakishore Sahu, mother name is Losna Sahu. Satyananda Sahu is my name, as it is. Now you people call me Satya. So here it is, you can also call me Satya. Below that is my wife's name, Madhusmita Sahu. Below that you find some dummy, and test it. Test. I created this record only for testing purpose. These are the record. So see, since I'm creating a personal information portal, I want to have some valid data. So I'll put all my valid data here. Now we will go and insert a record using this jar file. I will insert my father-in-law's name, my father-in-law name. See, in this software, if you see, first name is Ravindra, so last name is Sahu, middle name Kumar, age 75, gender male. I have put this record, but I have not given any ID. In this session, I don't need to give any ID. The reason behind that, the ID will be get auto generated by Hibernate. Before ending this session, I will show that piece of code which I added for auto generation. Now this is the localhost 8080 user API create, and let's send it. My mother-in-law name is Sanjukta Sahu. I will add that inside the WAR file. So I've sent the request. Yes, the record got created. Let's go and check it. Ravindra Sahu, right? We got that record. It is in the database. Now let's go back. So you see how simple it is with the standalone application. How simple you can do it with the standalone application with a executable jar having embedded Tomcat inside it, having embedded Tomcat inside it. So you see all these logs in console is coming, but it's not writing to the file. I will check it why it is not writing to the file, and then I will explain it maybe in the comment section what was the issue. Right. So here, if you see, the record is insert into person, age, first name, gender, this personality values, this, and take a record for us. Let's go back and do the modification for a war file. Now you need to be very careful while doing for the war file. Just watch this plugin. You can keep it as it is, but anyway, we're going for a war package. So let's not keep this jar plugins enable. So I will disable this on jar plugin. In Maven, always you can have a properties file, which properties file configuration, which while doing the Maven build, you can switch while doing the Maven build. You can switch, from you want a var or you want a jar. Based on your properties configuration, it will create a jar, it will create a var file. That is called configurable. That is configurable in order to go and manually do this comment and comment thing in your form file. When I was working in project, right, we used to have lots of things, configuration in POM file also. So many, I need only this module, I need this set of module, I need this, I need that. So, so here only single POM file is there, but when I was working as a engineering leader or as an, engineering leader, or as a developer. Throughout my career, I have seen when I was building application through Ant file, lots of Ant configuration and Ant file was there. Then POM came into picture, Maven. So Maven also we made configurable, and lots of based on our configuration, uh, based on the build, we will get the deliverables or deployable artifacts. Deliverable are always important what we are delivering to the testing team or to the stakeholders or to the client, right? So let this Maven compiler plugin be enabled. See, I have not pushed this file to the GitHub today. I'll post it. You can take it, you can download, and you can always check it. So now here we have to I have to disable, right? This I just commented this enabled this file. In POM, nothing here. POM, you just need to add var and done. You don't need to worry about any configuration if you are doing going for var. Yeah, one more thing is there. I will tell you, if you're going for a war, that means you're going to deploy it in a external Tomcat. And if you're going to deploy it in the external Tomcat, then Spring Boot Starter Tomcat should, the scope should be provided, or you should comment out this basically, right? So I am making it this scope is provided. That means it will not package, it will not package this jar inside the where war file. If it packages this jar inside the war file, that means you have embedded Tomcat inside the UR file. It will create a conflict with Jazz or the Tomcat jar which is outside, and it will not allow your application to get initialized. And let's go. And yeah, this much was the configuration for your for your war file in war file inside form.xml. Now let's go to the main class. I have commented so many things, right? So let's see. See, this is one class, Spring Servlet Initializer. This class you need to extend if you want to deploy it in a external Tomcat. The reason behind that, this class will help you because when you are deploying it in Tomcat, you are not going to run it as a, you are not going to run it as a what? Main method, right? Right click run as application or Java hyphen jar. You're not going to do that. Tomcat will initialize this application, right? For that, you need to extend Spring Boot Servlet Initializer, Spring Boot Servlet Initializer. And also what you need to do, you need to override one method of that particular class. That is your configure method. Your configure method you need to override because this is the method which actually initializes your application to web application or boot application. See, what is the difference between this? When you write the static void main string application dot run, what it does, it internally calls this configure. So now we have to call this configure, right? So you just need to do application dot source and you have to pass your main class name, right? The main class which is just Spring Boot application class. And then it will initialize or annotations wherever it is used and you can from there you can go ahead. Right? See, this Spring Boot application is actually 100% annotation. Most of the people they do Spring Boot application as 100% annotation. But what I did, I am having annotation as well as I'm having a Spring context XML, right? I'm doing this because so that you all can understand. And I have already shown you one application prior to this where no string context XML is required, only annotation, right? So see, while experimenting this, I made this class also as a REST controller to see after deployment to see if this welcome message is coming. Then only I will go and hit my uh, get person or get person biography or my the other method create method. Otherwise, I don't hit. So that is the reason I created this welcome message. You can always have a welcome message for reporter. Where exclude. Where exclude is I already explained, right? What is exclude? So no need. If you try, when you are if you are deploying my application, remove this exclude and try. You will see it will show data source exception. Right? It will show data source exception, and you will not be able to. What will happen? You will not be able to understand why this data source configuration is happening. It will say this class is not found, that class is not found, that class is not there. It will say some here and there error you will not be able to understand. If you don't have knowledge about auto configuration, you will feel something is going wrong. Why it is going wrong, I don't know. Right? So since I'm not initializing it in the beginning, right? All the configuration for data source, Hibernate or GPA, I commented it. Or I removed it. Basically, I excluded it. It's not required. When I'm initializing the data source or Hibernate or transaction, I'm initializing it when my Spring Contest XML is getting initialized. The full annotation application also I'll push to GitHub. That will take some time. Based on my free available time, I will uh, may convert this, but I will convert this particular application to 100% annotation and post it. You can download it from GitHub. You will find two projects. One is with annotation, 100% annotation, and the other one is the same application what I am showing you here. Let's go. I have enabled this, right? This is the only thing you need to change. All other will be same. Let's go build the application and deploy it. Now when I'm doing a build, it will create war file for me, right? And the scope, that embedded thing, I need to cross it. Embedded means embedded Tomcat. Yeah, Spring Boot starter Tomcat scope is provided. That means it will not get added to the libraries. So clean install here. I'm doing it run. Let's go to the target folder. Yep. If you have any clarification, if you need any, you know, if you need any clarification or if you need any doubt, if you have any doubt, let me know. I will fix it. Help to execute. Why it is going for jar? I have not commented that jar or what. To packaging, jar packaging is commented. It is only war packaging, right? Everything is commented, right? No error, no error. Fail to execute goal by one clean plugin, by one clean project. Okay. Is there any? Okay. See, this Tomcat is still running, right? So that's the reason it failed to publish. It failed to clean the target folder because it is running and it cannot delete it. So I have to stop this Tomcat. Yeah, I did. Tomcat is stopped. I'm exiting from this console or command prompt. Yes. So now if I run it will build clean install. See all these no I worked so uh, every day go to office. Either you do or you or my team. Either I do or my team will be doing every day. Because I work in Java based web application. All these are enterprise web application. Wherever I worked with large scale projects. So every day I have to look into Tomcat, JBoss, WebLogic, and WebSphere because our application supporting all the servers based on the client need. That's how you started learning so many things. If you do practicing, if you are seriously to do learn, then you have to start practicing and look into all the server. Now it is getting deployed in Tomcat. How we can deploy it in JBoss? Take this some same word file to deploy it in JBoss. That approach you can do by yourself. What else you can do? Remove the data source configuration from your application context XML, configure it in JBoss or Tomcat as a JNDI name, access it as a JNDI name. So many things if you want, you can learn with your own interest. Right? So let me take this work file now. I'm copying this work file. I have already a Tomcat deployed here. Already a Tomcat, downloaded. I have downloaded a Tomcat that is Apache Tomcat 11 M24 version. I've cleaned the work folder. Nothing is there. That no catch is there. I have here cleaned that file. There is no file called the same file, but I'm going to deploy it here, right? So I copy and pasted this file. Let me start the Tomcat now, right? Let me start the Tomcat. Now, to start the Tomcat, what you have to do, you can go to the bin folder, and in bin folder you have a startup file. I go to the command prompt, and in command prompt, what you do, always use that startup.batch and run. So it will start the Tomcat. It's trying to deploy the var now. When it deploys the var, it will explode that var. If the var is already exploded, it will just cross verify it is the same exploded file. Now it's going to deploy the var which I put there, right? Which I have put inside the your web folder. Yeah, it's starting. So if everything goes well, it will start, and then we can hit the browser to see the get information and use the SOPUI to create record. If you have any question, call me. I will help you out. You see, this is how the Tomcat started and deployed the application successfully without any issue. Now let's go back to the browser. I will close this. I will open a new tab. So that empty tab will show data is coming clearly from the backend. Before that, see this URL you cannot hit like that. I have to remember you cannot hit this URL like that. What you need to do here, whatever you have deployed, right? Whatever you have deployed here, whatever you have deployed in web app. See this war file SPR HIB INT war file, that is string Habanet integration war file exploded to this particular file, right? Your application context name, when you're deploying in Tomcat, there will be application context name. So this you remove from your war file, you remove the .war. The other part is your context application context name. So we have to take this application context, and then what you do, go to this localhost 8080. I'm using the same port in external Tomcat also. Localhost 8080, then slash. Use that file name removing .var. Correct? So here SPR HIB INT hyphen 0.0.1 hyphen snapshot. This is what the file name removing .var. And then slash. Then you put the your service URL which is there in the your which you have configured in your REST controller, right? That you have to put. So first I'll go for the welcome message. No, first I'll go for the welcome message. The welcome message is coming. That means it is properly deployed. See, I have put this welcome message, because it is not hitting any services, it is not hitting database to only check that my application is deployed properly, and I'm able to access my REST controller, which is only a static message. There is no call to the service layer or database layer. That is the reason I have put a welcome message to cross verify application is deployed successfully. Now, by seeing this message, I can say my application is deployed successfully. This is one way to verify. The fast way to verify is inside your Tomcat. When this is deploying, if there is no exception in this Tomcat Catalina Tomcat console, you will be able to see it is successfully. There will be one message which I will show you here. If you see this one, if you see this line, right? Tomcat web apps PSPR HIB INT 0.0.1 hyphen snapshot var has finished in this many millis 39 to 230, 39 to 30 milliseconds. If you see that, if you see it has finished in this second, that means your application is successfully deployed by Catalina. And then if you hit in the or Tomcat, if you hit here, then if you hit here, then you will be able to see welcome to personal information, information portal, the welcome message which I created. It is again another cross verification. Okay, application is deployed successfully and running. Now I can go here and I can put the REST service. See, first your server name and port number, right? Localhost HTTP :/localhost 8080 slash. Then the application context. That is your file name removing .var, right? Then whatever the REST controller service URI you are, that is user, then slash API, then question mark ID, right? Question mark ID, and then equal to, you have to give the ID is available in database. So see, it is coming from the database, right? So we are getting the record from the database. Now we'll go and create it. While creating in SOAP UI, you have to follow the same principle, right? We have to follow the same principle while creating in SOAP UI. See, in software, if you see, it is a post method, right? The first one is 8080 localhost HTTP colon slash slash localhost colon 8080. And then in resource, what I have, SPR, HIB, INT, hyphen 0.0.1, hyphen snapshot. What is this? This is basically your the context name. When we are deploying, when we are trying to hit the standalone application, embedded Tomcat, we didn't, there is no context name. But when we are deploying in Tomcat or JBoss, WebLogic, or maybe in WebSphere, IBM WebSphere, you will always have a context name. Then user API slash create. Right? This is how you have to do. Now fast name. Now I'm going to insert my mother-in-law record. Last name is Sanjukta. Last name is Sahu. Then my no middle name is maybe around 70 or 65, maybe around 65 or maybe around 68. No, I'm not sure actually. That's what I'm saying. Gender female. Gender is female, right? So I will send this record now without ID because ID is auto-generated. See, record got created, right? This is the record got created. Let's go and see it in database. See, Sanjukta Sahu, 68, female. So many records are inserted here, and you see, using Tomcat also able to insert the record, right? Using Tomcat also able to insert the record. This is how you can do with a Tomcat, right? This is how you can do with Tomcat. Always be careful what you are doing. And if you want to check, if your application is failing, you want to check logs, Tomcat logs, you can always come to this particular place. Inside your Apache Tomcat home folder or root folder, you will have a logs folder. Go there, you will have so many logs. You can go and look into all these logs if there is any exception why it is happening, right? So this is how the application you can deploy in Tomcat, and you can you know run it in external Tomcat. Also, you can run with embedded Tomcat inside it. So I have shown you both the approaches, right? You can do it yourself now. Let's go for the last part, which I thought of telling today. That is the Hibernate configuration, right? That is the Hibernate configuration, and I will close this all other. Let's do that. Let's go to the Hibernate configuration. What I did, how the ID got, how the ID is automatically getting generated in this particular application. Yeah, it is inside the util class. I have written a string ID generator class. Inside the util class, I've written a string ID generator class. If you see, I will open the person class also. Hold on. On the your person user ID. Yeah, that's all it is needed. See, in person class, yesterday I was trying to do it and got some error, right? Auto generation was not working. See, you can use generic generator. You can use generic generator, but when you're using generic generator in the hybrid class, and giving, creating your own generator class and giving it strategy is deprecated. When you see anything is deprecated, it's better to not use in your application, in the application which you are developing currently. Don't never use any deprecated attributes in your new application or the application which you are creating currently, because this deprecated attribute will get removed from the application, very sooner, very soon. So you, when it get removed from the application, you have to change your application code again. So better use the new way of implementing, or the new configuration, or the new, or any or whatever the replacement was given by the framework in place of that duplicate parameters, attribute or method. You use that. That will help your application to, go for, go in the long run without any change requirement, or without any changes. Right. So see here, this person ID is at the red column or the default column which I had, and ID. This is the primary key. That's why I'm adding ID. Right. ID at the rate user ID. See this at the rate user ID again is an interface. It is an interface. This is the way where Hibernate is allowing you to generate your custom IDs. Right. See what I'm saying here. This interface user ID is the interface at the rate interface user ID, right? And then I'm telling at the rate ID generator type. What type of ID I'm going to generate? I'm going to generate a string ID generator. What is that string ID generator dot class? That is a class which I created. If I go here, this is the class which I created. So whenever you are creating any custom ID generator class, you have to implement identifier generator. Identifier generator, that is basically your Hibernate ID generator class. You have to implement that. You have to implement that ID identifier generator. See, if I would have my ID as an integer, there are so many integer ID generators are available by Hibernate and I can use directly. Since my ID, the ID variable or person ID variable which I'm using, that is string, I have written this class string ID generator by implementing identifier generator. And what I'm doing, overriding the method called generate. This is the method which actually is going to generate the ID. So I'm overriding this method. And what I'm doing, I'm using system.current time millisecond. Current time millisecond will be given in the current time millisecond value is always long. It is given in long. And what I'm doing that millisecond time, I'm converting it to string and sending it. I will show you this by just running this by writing this in the main method and running it. I will show you how it looks. I'll just write a main method here, right? Main method. Just show system.out.println and this system.current milliseconds. If I run this as a Java application, see what will happen. What we will get here. See, this is the idea I got, correct? What actually this current time millisecond does, it will take the day, the year, month, date, hour, minute, second, millisecond together, and it will generate a ID. So every millisecond you will get a new ID. Every millisecond you will get a new ID. Since this is not that, since it is not that application which is going to get into production, it is for only demo purpose to you all. So I used current time millisecond. You should use something else, because in same millisecond time, multiple create requests can come, and all these particular thread which is coming to that particular uh, there will be multiple thread sending to request to create a record, right? In the same millisecond time, if they come, this will give the same id, and you will have a conflict while saving the record. The request which goes to the database fast, that will get saved. The other request will throw exception saying already exist, primary key, cannot be duplicated, right? So you should always use a right algorithm for generating ID. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. In my case, it is just to show you all. That's why I've written this. So always find a better algorithm to generate your own ID. Right? Always find a better algorithm to generate your own ID. Yeah. So this is how we generate the ID, right? Then what is the next step? Let's go back to the interface. In this interface, it has some retention policies, runtime, target is element type is field, element type is method, right? And what I did here, this is a annotation interface annotation I created, right? Public interface annotation, that is user ID. And this I am using here at the rate user ID. This is the approach which you can take in current time. You know what will happen? It will not get you will not be you will not worry about the deprecation of your deprecation of any logic or stat or the in the previous one whatever I have shown you in previous the strategy is deprecated, correct? This single line was doing the same thing. Generic generator, string ID generator, and this is the class name. The same class name which I have put here in user ID. The same class name which I put in here is in this user ID. You see, import line number 10, import com.example.satya.util.string ID generator, string ID generator dot class, right? The same class only. But I have taken it in a other approach where even if the strategy get deprecated, it is not going to create any trouble for me. Even if the strategy get deprecated, it is not going to create any trouble or any problem for me. Right? So this is how the ID is getting generated when you send a request without person ID. You know, it will generate the ID, put it into the person object, and create the person object. I can show you that again using the main method also here, right? Because this application also will run through main method. I'll just comment out this rest control here, right? Or let it be there. What is there? No issue. Right? Already I have shown you, right? Why? Okay, let me show you. So we're inserting one record using this main method. So I'm ending this session here. You know, coming session there'll be something called maybe a UI integration or something to this particular application. See, a person who is really interested to learn, he will always learn. 8080 port is in use. Is this Tomcat is yeah, Tomcat is running because see, this is the Tomcat which is running, right? That is the reason it is running. So let me stop this external Tomcat. Yeah, external Tomcat is stopped now, right? And any concern, any doubt, any clarification, call me, ping me, comment on my YouTube video, mail me, message me on the LinkedIn. So now let me start it again. So the application is starting. Got started. Yes, the application is started now. Let me go and open that SOAP UI, right? And let it and create one more request for you. So while hitting this, I have to go to the normal one here, because here we don't need any contest name. I will see. I'll keep this ID. I will now. I'll show you by keeping this ID. I'm keeping this ID and sending this request. See what will happen. User API create only one create. Why it is two to create? User API create, right? That's how. So let me send it. This ID I'm keeping it here. I've given one ID. I'm not removing that ID. It created, right? It doesn't think what we are giving, what we are not giving. It created, right? So sometime yesterday while I was doing, I don't know, in one of the situation, it gave me one exception. So I thought, okay, let me do it again and show you what it happens. Let's go and see. It actually should not, if you give a ID also, it will insert a, it will create one ID and send it to that. One more dummy record will be created, right? See, one more dummy record got created. Now send me, now let me send again with just a gender change. Man, see, one more record got created, right? So that was the concept. Even if you give the ID that don't want to matter, it will create your, it will create his own ID and send to the database. That is how I want it will work. Okay, this is how it works, right? Now, today I will end this session here, and we will see in coming session, with a front end having a UI and calling this get personal information and trying to save a record to database. Anything, any clarification you need, any concern you have, any questions you have, you can always mail me on my mail ID. You know, I am always showing my mail ID. Today also I will show you my mail ID. Always call me on my mail ID. Sorry, mail me on my mail ID. Call me on my phone or comment on the video, YouTube video. See, this is how my mail ID, my LinkedIn, my cell number, and my YouTube channel. YouTube channel, if you are watching my video, obviously you are in my YouTube channel. So my cell number is here, my LinkedIn ID is here, my email ID is here. Mail me, message me on LinkedIn, call me. If you need any clarification, if you need any kind of information, definitely I will help you. We can have one-to-one session and we can discuss. No, I'm not a trainer. Since I'm applying for job and I'm sitting idle, I want to help you all to grow in technology. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.